you here. And light you here. Oh my goodness, if it'll even actually work, that'd be lovely. All right. Okay. Hello, hello. We're gonna see how this lighting goes. Feel free to let me know down in the comments if you have any input as far as music and lighting and all of that stuff goes. Wanting to see the cards, wanting to see my face. Hello and welcome to Kaichi Alchemy. You can call me Kachi. This is a space of love, y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the cosmos today. I want to thank y'all for showing up. Thanks for co-creating community with me. I appreciate those comments, those shares, those likes, those subscribes, as they help me to expand my reach and help more people. This will be a collective Gemini reading, so please only take what truly resonates with you. You can take it or leave it, part or all of the message. Today's reading is going to be on Gemini energy, so that could be your sun, moon, rising, Venus, midheaven, or any other placement for that matter, or even if you just felt called to the title or the thumbnail or something of that nature, then I'm sure there's something in here for you, and that is for you to decipher with you and your intuition. So here we're going to do a brief one breath meditation. We're going to break all the rules of the internet. We're going to be completely silent for one deep breath. You can hold it at the top for a bit if you'd like. Really dropping down into your heart space, into the present moment, leaving all of your drama or your work or your concerns of a more mundane nature to the side just for a minute. It will be there for you when you need to return. But we're going to do some reflection here. Man, I have always struggled with Gemini energy my whole life, but I think honestly I realized recently that it is something I carry within me. It's just something that I struggle to interact with other people around. And I guess we can get more into exactly what that means as we go. Everybody's experience of Gemini energy is pretty different, but I wonder if there is something in that for you and for the message today. Before we get started with deciphering that though, I'm going to grab a pocket animal spirit card from this mini oracle deck. I forgot to mention her name last time. This deck is created by Kim Kranz. I'll get up and show you if you want for the next one. Let me know. It is a mini deck, so sometimes it takes a minute for something to pop out. That is so funny that it just, as soon as I said that, jumped straight out. I was wondering if we were gonna get an error message today, and literally the bottom of the deck is B, and then we had hawk and peacock come out all together. So these are all animals of flight, of the air element, And hawk and peacock wanted to come out together. So, man, those might be some sort of personal confirmation for you in some way. But you know, peacocks are a bird that doesn't really fly. Like, it doesn't really get real high up there. And the hawk I've seen used a lot to represent a higher perspective. And so there's like this story in one of my favorite books about this woman who has a friend that is a hawk, and she asks it to grab her baby by its shoulders, basically, with its talons, and fly up into the sky so that that baby can conceptualize and see the entire environment that it's from a much, much higher perspective. And that was a hawk. So this is both air energy, but one is getting a very earthy, well, peacocks are also really like lavish, you know, like there's some sort of symbolism sometimes for people in them about like vanity and stuff like that. It's kind of like Taurian, kind of flashy, beautiful things, sensual things. Yeah, so like an earthly bird energy, and then the hawk is like higher perspective energy. So that's kind of like the two extremes here. I would like to read out of the guidebook today. Even though there's two of them, I'm just gonna do it. These ones are actually quite succinct as far as oracle decks go. Okay, so the peacock I found first. And for peacock, it says inner beauty, compassion, a simulator of anything. The beauty of the peacock is unrivaled. It's easy to think it comes from the plumage, but the secret of the peacock is that the beauty resides within and extends outward indefinitely. This adept creature can assimilate or digest all experiences in life, so it does not harbor resentment, conflict, or past pain within its psyche. The peacock type is extremely rare. Not many of us have reached this advanced level of acceptance of the self and others. When in balance, confident and kind. When out of balance, cannot digest situations. To bring into balance, meditation on the navel. I thought I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm getting a phone call right now, so maybe people are blowing you up. I hope that didn't pause the video right there, but if the phone call did, in fact, my apologies. But you may want to do some literal navel gazing. It's funny how people use that term generally to be like kind of about being self-absorbed, and the peacock generally has some associations with that. Like when people use the term peacocking like a verb, they're talking about people that are kind of self-focused and full of themselves and not trying to change and create goodness, but yeah, they're looking at themselves a lot. And obviously that can be taken to an extreme and done in not such a good way. But I definitely think that you would benefit from some grounding, from some, not even grounding to your surroundings, grounding into yourself, into your soul, into your individual truth, into your individual beauty and magic and art and palette of colors and like whatever that is to you, your authenticity. It's time to connect back into that. I think the reason I was talking earlier about Gemini energy being difficult for me is because it's all about like spinning around and curiosity and like looking into all of these different things, and it's very cerebral and it's very lighthearted and it's very fun. And generally, Gemini is thought of as kind of like a social butterfly energy, and it's positive, or in one aspect of its energy. And so when you have a tendency to constantly be considering and looking into everything around you, you lose touch with yourself. And so you can be really friendly and you can be really interested in all of these people and all these situations and all this stuff. You can learn and learn and learn, and that's awesome and that's great. However, your community is not you. You may be a part of your community, but if your identity is your community, then it's not really such a genuine connection. If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, but you're trying to connect in with everybody around you, that can be like kind of codependency. That can be like hiding your voice. That can be a lot of things. That can be putting down your own beliefs and feelings and thoughts, and saying, well, if people don't agree with me, then that must not be valuable or relevant or true or whatever. And I think that can be a reason why I struggle with Gemini energy, and I don't necessarily appreciate that aspect of it when people get really, really so wrapped up in the people and things around them, that they lose that connection to themselves. So that was the peacock. The hawk: watchful, all-seeing, messenger of divinity. The sharp eyes of the hawk watch our every move. This keen-eyed bird has the ability to see every little detail, as well as the bigger picture. When this card appears, fate has its eyes on you, and the winds are shifting. It is said that the hawk carries news upon its wings, and is sent from divinity itself to deliver it. The message should not be taken lightly. Though it may seem small or insignificant, it will eventually redirect your course. When in balance, sees clearly, is intuitive. When out of balance, sees too much and falls prey to suspicion, the energy of suspicion. To bring into balance, perspective shift. Okay, so if your focus is everything outside of you and you need to shift your perspective in order to connect with the divinity of the truth and connect with people from a more genuine place and have that deep relationship with yourself first, so you're not pulled every which way by everybody else's thoughts, feelings, opinions, beliefs, etc., then that perspective shift probably would do well to be that peacock advice. To bring into balance the peacock energies is meditation on the navel. So to shift your perspective to a higher, wider perspective, actually what you're being asked to do right now is to go inward, because you are part of the whole. And without that piece, you actually are very much missing the grand pattern, the grand scheme, the higher perspective, because you are an integral part of this system, of this experience, of this reality that you're trying to decode and understand. And if you don't prioritize decoding and understanding yourself and connecting that with everybody else, then your understanding is actually going to be limited. It's actually going to be obscured. It's actually going to be not what you're going for. Okay, so I'm going to leave those out there for now. Put the pocketbook away. And we're going to get into some tarot here. I wanted to today share with you this Mean Girls deck that I got. Shout out to Just Puckett for the inspiration. She's such a special one. I don't know if it actually says the creator on here. Oh, okay. Written by Lindsay Silverman, illustrated by Felipe Flores. Okay, so I can put that down in the notes or something if you're curious. But before we get into that, today I am just gonna clear the space a little bit. Hopefully that fan isn't going too crazy, and I can do that. Thank you. For being here today, for sharing space, and for contemplating on you and your own life, as I believe world peace comes from inner healing. So thank you for your service. Okay. Thank you, Freya. Thank you, Folly. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for your wisdom and guidance. Please allow me to channel for the Gemini Collective today what they need to hear for their greatest and highest good, and ultimately the greatest and highest good of all beings everywhere. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This candle that I lit up way in the front is an old Christmas edition, holiday edition from the Nine Woods Candle Shop. That was sugar plum scented, and then I ended up accidentally pouring way more rose petals onto the top of it than I had meant to, and so it's just got this real like floral fruity thing going on. I'm not usually really into the scents because I get overwhelmed really easily with that stuff, but I was actually smelling kind of like a floral fruity aroma. You know, I would call myself more clairsentient than anything else, but occasionally I will pick up on messages and pick up on things in my intuition through my sense of smell, which is interesting because your sense of smell is very tied into your intuition on a lot of levels, in a lot of ways. So please, something went out there. Oops. Please help me channel for the collective. Oh, I don't know when that flipped, but okay, we got that. Please help me channel for the collective what they need to hear today, see today, integrate today, be inspired by today. when I was channeling that fruity floral scent, it was part of some imagery also that I got. And real simply, I had a download about cherries, which I'll look up in a minute, like the symbolism around that, and then cherry blossoms. And so when I saw the cherry blossoms, I was like this short little person maybe a kid, or maybe it was a big tree. And there's this cherry blossom tree up above me, the branches. And I'm too small to get up there. And cherry blossom trees, a lot of times they seem a little too flimsy to try and climb on. I'm sure people have done it, but like, for whatever reason, I had the sense of like, I have no way of getting up to these beautiful blossoms. And they're so pretty, and they have all of this life force, and I want to smell them, I want to experience them, I want to get a closer look, I want to have a closer connection with this beautiful energy up there. And so you're having a hard time figuring out, like, in your chest, you're just like, I want it, I want to go up there, I want to see, I want to be a part of it. Kind of giving me that energy of The Little Mermaid, but instead of like the ocean and the dry land, it's like the earth and the ether, or the air, you know? Last reading I did was a Taurus reading. It was Earth energy, and I've had a really hard time getting up out of that, because Earth energy is my home, and it's where I feel most comfortable. And so when I get into it takes a lot to like get me out of here. And that was the feeling, is like, I'm so weighed down by whatever that I can't get up there. And then I looked down, and under my feet was like the woven basket of a hot air balloon. And so then I look up again, and the cherry blossoms have turned into cherries. And you want to go get those cherries. Well, let me look up what cherries symbolize, so we know like what exactly it is that you're going to look for, or that you're seeking in this. Okay, cherries, both the fruit and the trees, carry diverse symbolic meanings across cultures, often representing love, beauty, fertility, and the fleeting nature of life. In various contexts, they also symbolize innocence, sacrifice, renewal, and new beginnings. Okay, so you are poised, you're positioned towards love, beauty, growth, and presence. Okay? And in order to do that, it's going to require renewal, transformation, new beginnings. Innocence could be like letting go of your preconceived notions about what's possible and what's not, and then sacrifice. So it will take sacrifice to get to that, to get into that growth and into that presence. Okay? So what is that sacrifice? If you're on a sandbag, or if you're on a hot air balloon, then if you want that hot air balloon to rise, it's got everything it needs to rise. It's got the hot air and everything. But before you fly away in a hot air balloon, there are these heavy bags of sand connected to the bottom. And I don't know if that's still how they do it, but I know, the metaphor, the symbolism of a hot air balloon, this is how it works. And so if you want to lift off, if you want to get up higher, if you want to go from earth to air, if you want to go from the way that you've always done things into change and creating more presence and creating a more truthful, balanced, fertile, infinitely growing, regenerative energy in your exploration of yourself in the world, you need to go inwards, and you need to go through the process of cutting those sandbags so you can get up there to where you're wanting to go. And these sandbags are things that you know what they represent. I don't necessarily know what they represent, but it is very much the energy of needing to cut away baggage and drop the weight and allow yourself to lighten up. And that isn't necessarily a light process, you know. Hacking away at these sandbags can be challenging. Maybe you haven't looked at yourself like that in a long time, and your knife is like kind of dull and old and rusty, and it's like a whole process. You're trying to literally hack away at these sandbags once you get into it, and maybe it's discouraging or whatever. But I'm just here to let you know that if you don't give up on it, you will find a way to identify and release these sandbags and release this baggage so that you can move forward into that more deep, genuine understanding of the whole, so that you can be, there we go, in a sweet space, in a beautiful space that allows you to continuously grow. Okay, so we have in the past position 2 cards. That's the theme today. That's the Gemini. Gemini is the twins. Gemini is opposites. Gemini is the other side. Gemini is relationship. It's the 2 sides. And so we have 2 of flames, which would be 2 of wands. Okay, that's kind of looking out into the distance, into the future. I often struggle with figuring out the difference between 2 of flames and 3 of flames. Oh, and this other one is 3 of wands. So we have 2 of wands, 3 of wands. And so this is very much an energy of looking out to the future, looking out to what you have to expect, looking out to what you want, looking out. So if you're passionate about these cherries, then there was a time in the recent past when you were really focusing in on that and probably feeling discouraged and not really understanding how to move forward and how to deal with that. But you just know that you have something new and changing and transformative in your future. Okay. So the Suit of Flames is where I'm going to find both of these, and I definitely want to read from the guidebook today. This one might be a bit of a longer reading, so welcome. Yeah, there we go. So we're going all the way to I will master this guidebook one day. Okay. Upright. Okay, you ready? I think so. Just as Katie's parents prepare her for her first day of school, you're preparing yourself for the next. Just as Katie's parents prepare her for her first day of school, you are preparing yourself for the next steps ahead. Even though you may feel unsure, you are ready and eager for what awaits. Like Katie, you have rehearsed and planned for this, and discovery is all part of the fun, right? Okay. And then 3 of Wands is, as Katie walks through the front lawn of North Shore High School on her first day of school, she is confronted with all sorts of new people and opportunities to explore. Her world and yours is expanding rather quickly, but you're ready to walk into the unknown and find out what it has in store for you. This is what you've been waiting for. Take a deep breath, look straight ahead, and keep going. You've got this. Okay, so that's very, very clearly just you know that you want change, you are excited to discover it. In the present position, I've got the Four of Daggers, okay? Four of Swords, as far as I remember it, tends to be like you need to rest, you need to, oh wait, is this 9? Yeah, my apologies, my Roman numerals sometimes get mixed up there. Okay, so I think that this is 9 of Swords, and if this is 9 of Swords, this is not such a chill energy. This is, like in the past, you saw the change, you saw the opportunity, you're excited about the opportunity, you move forward, and in the present moment, you are experiencing a ton of mental anguish and challenges, and perhaps people throwing words and mental manipulation and whatever at you in your direction, and that might be challenging. Okay, so I have 9 of Daggers, if I'm correct on my Roman numerals, says, things are full tilt jungle madness right now, and it isn't going away anytime soon. Girl world and animal world intertwine in one hectic realm of chaos after Regina chaotically distributes the pages of the burn book. Katie thinks she's imagining the nightmare right in front of her, but unfortunately, this energy correlates to your current reality. The anxiety and turmoil is really happening. Okay, so it's like you realize that you need to bring yourself into this community, into this storyline. You need to bring your genuine, authentic thoughts and feelings and experiences and share them with people. And so if you're sharing your truth with people and you haven't been doing that necessarily in the past, and you're trying to change things, you're going to get a lot of pushback, and people are going to be confused, and people are going to be triggered. And so this is the energy of everybody around you is super, 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 super triggered. And I remember it wasn't like the nicest, easiest thing for Katie during all of this madness, but she was much less a part of it. It was much more of just like, I am in this environment and everybody is going ape shit and everything is nonsense and I am unsafe and I don't know what to expect, and if everybody's so triggered around me, then like, how do I take care of myself? What am I supposed to do? And like, is it even worth it? Should I just go like hide in the corner and wait till it's over? Or should I engage? Or like, what are we doing here? So you might just be in the general energy of mental overwhelm right now for whatever reason. And, daggers are air. So that's Gemini energy, that's community. And so you may be experiencing some shifts, changes, transformation, fertility, renewal, growth, change, and learning how to come into more presence in your community. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it sounds really intense, and so I hope that you take some time to care for and comfort yourself as you go through this process, because being overwhelmed can lead us to making decisions that we may not otherwise make and may not be happy with. So really even more important now to go inside. If everything out here doesn't make sense, if everything inside feels like a reflection of that, you can't go and change everybody and everything around you that's going crazy. But you can take that reflective energy that you're feeling inside of yourself and work with that and transmute that and feel that pain and turn it into things that are productive. And so you have that power. And right now, I know it may not be your strong suit or natural to you as a Gemini, but there are lots of different things in all of our charts. And for you, you really need to quiet down, drop into the present moment, go inward, all of those corny things. And in the future position, we have 7 of Cups. Generally, 7 of Cups is representative of lots of options. It can be illusion and confusion and misrepresentation and stuff like that, but not always. It can also just be a card about opportunities. So in this particular deck, it says, I just wish we could all get along like we used to in middle school. I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat it and be happy. If you've seen the movie right now, this is my favorite card now. Okay, when the unnamed girl arrives at the trust fall exercise, she tearfully shares some wishful thinking. But just like the 7 of Cups, this is merely fantasy, a daydream. You could be searching for something greater, so let your thoughts wander and keep your heart open. Okay, yeah, so you realize that you need to grow and expand. You try to change some things up. It doesn't go well with the people and places and things around you. Your community is triggered and revolts and causes drama in your life and forces you to go more inward. And then you share with these people, perhaps, that you have a vision for change, you have a vision for your future, and you want to share who you are. And that's kind of like this energy. Like, I just wish we could all get along. And that would be awesome, wouldn't it? I think that there's a time and a place where we will and can and have all gotten along, but those places and times are few and far between, and this is not one of them. And so you really have to start learning discernment, and you also have to start learning to not just spin around and engage with and accept everything, but to mindfully and consciously choose who and what you're going to involve yourself with based off of the genuine, hard truth. No matter how much you or somebody else does not like that truth, you have to operate from that place and make choices to accept and deny people, places, and things from your life. And so, yeah, in your future, you're going to need to realize that even though you're searching for something greater, it's not gonna look like what you originally thought and hoped that it would look like, because it can't look like that, because you're not in control of everybody and everything around you. Fortunately, I would say. Maybe you disagree in this moment, I would imagine. But accepting that you cannot control everything, and then letting your thoughts wander and keep your heart open. So again, we're coming into the heart space, we're coming into presence, we're coming into right here, right now, regardless of all of the drama going on around you, okay? That was really fun. I could do that for a long time because, you know me, I can just be long-winded, but that's also a fun deck. So I look forward to sharing it with you guys more soon. When I was looking at this cherry tree symbolism and wanting to get up to the fruits and realizing I need to cut the sandbags and everything, I got this download about a chapter from one of my favorite books. It is a little bit long, So I invite you to skip forward if you feel like you need to, or you feel like you want to, you feel called. But it just seemed very relevant and on brand to this message. So I don't do this very often, but I'm literally gonna read this whole section out of here. And then when we're done with this nice little story, then I will draw an herbiary oracle card and we will wrap this up here. This is the Teenage Liberation Handbook, How to Quit School and Get a Real Life and Education, written by Grace Llewellyn. First, a nice little story. And then we have a quote by Sigmund Freud right here. What a distressing contrast there is between the radiant intelligence of the child and the feeble maturity of the average adult. So remember we were talking about how Gemini is almost like the child energy. And you're in a place of needing to reorganize, rebalance what that child energy means and what it looks like in your life. Because positive polarity of Gemini is freaking awesome and we love you. And thank you so much for being you. But as every human being on this planet knows or shares with you, we all can and should do better. And that's not a shame thing, that's a fun, exciting thing if you've dealt with your shame, which requires going inward. Okay, I hope that there's some messages in here for you. I'm not going to give you any preface of like what I think it should mean for you, because that's the way I like to do things. On a soft green planet, a smiling baby was born in an orchard resplendent with every kind of fruit in the universe. The baby's parents called her Tanika, and Tanika spent her days roaming the warm, wet ground on hands and knees. Spotting a clump of goldberries off in the distance, she'd crawl after it and crush the sweet fruit in her mouth, red juice staining her brown chin and neck. A muavo would fall fatly from the high crown of the muavo tree, and she'd savor its golden tang. Each day revealed new wonders: bush apples, creamy labanas, the nutty crunch of the brown schrombart. The orchard's fruit sparkled in the dew and sun like thousands of living, moist jewels against the green fragrance of cushioning leaves. As her eyes grew stronger, Tanika lifted her gaze. The opulent branches above her hung heavy with fruits she'd never dreamed of, globular and glistening. Tanika's mother and father wandered the orchard too, sometimes, and she would watch them reach out easily and take a shining cluster here, a single green satin plum there. She'd watch them eat and imagine being tall enough to roam and reach so freely as they. Sometimes one of them would bend down and give Tanika one of those fruits from up there in the moving leaves. Fresh from the branches, it intoxicated her, and her desire to know and taste all the fruits of the orchard so consumed her that she began to long for the day she could reach that far. Her longing strengthened her appetite, and the fruit strengthened her legs, and one day, Tanika crawled to the base of a mysterious bush at the edge of the stream that watered the orchard. She leaned carefully forward and braced her arms as she positioned her feet. Unsteadily, she rose and groped for the shrub's pale fruit. Tugging knocked her off balance, and she sat down hard in an overripe muavo, but she barely noticed the fruit squishing under her thighs. In her hands, she grasped a fruit, thin-skinned and silver, fresh and new. She pressed it to her nose and face before she let her teeth puncture it. No sooner had she tossed the smooth pit into the stream than she heard a rustling behind her. A jolly, bespectacled face grinned down at her. "Well, well, well, you're a mighty lucky little girl. I've come to teach you to get the fruit down from the tall trees." Tanika's happiness unfurled like a sail. She could hardly believe her good luck. Not only had she just picked and eaten her first bush fruit, but here was a man she didn't even know offering to show her how to reach the prism of treats high above her head. Tanika was so overcome with joy that she immediately rose to her feet again and plucked another of the small moonish fruits. The jolly stranger slapped the fruit from Tanika's wrist. Stunned, she fell again and watched her prize roll into the stream. "Oh dear," said the man, "you've already picked up some bad habits. That may make things difficult." The slapping hand now took Tanika's and pulled her up. Holding on this way, Tanika stumbled along behind the stranger. She wanted to ask questions like, "Why didn't you just show me how to pick those berries hanging above the bush where I was?" But she kept her mouth shut. If she was going off to pick the high fruit, she guessed it didn't matter where, or that she'd sacrificed one beautiful moon fruit. Maybe they were going to a special tree, melting with juicing fruits, branches bent almost to the ground, low enough for her outstretched fingers. Yes, that must be it. Excitement renewed, she moved her legs faster. The stranger grinned and squeezed her hand. Soon Tanika saw the biggest, grayest thing she'd ever laid eyes on. In quiet fascination, she tripped along as they stepped off the spongy hummus of the orchard floor onto a smooth sidewalk. "Here we are," beamed the guide. They entered the building, full of odd smells and noises. They passed through a pair of heavy black doors, and the man pushed Tanika into a loud, complicated room full of talking children and several adults. She looked at the children, some sitting on the floor, some crawling about or walking. All of them had trays or plates in front of them, heaping with odd, mushy lumps of various colors. Also, some of the children were busy coloring simple pictures of fruits, and some wore pins and tags on their shirts displaying little plastic pears and mist bulbs. Baffled, Tanika tried to figure out what the children were doing in such a dark, fruitless place, what the lumpy stuff was, and above all, why her guide had stopped here on their way to the bountiful tree. But before she had time to think, two things happened. First, one of the kids took something metal and used it to scoop a lump of dull pinkish stuff into his mouth. Tanika opened her mouth in panic to warn the kid. Maybe there was something wrong with him. He was much bigger than she was, old enough to know better. But just as she began to yell, a new hand, Slick, pulled her up again. "Okay, Tanika," said the cheery woman that went with the hand. "This is the cafeteria. We're looking forward to helping you grow, and we're certain we can help you learn to pick tree fruit as long as you do your part." Tanika felt confused. She didn't see what this place could have to do with picking goldberries, and at the moment she wasn't particularly hungry for more of that shining moon fruit. She was, but she had no time to think. The slick hand woman put Tanika on a cold chair at a table. "Here," she said, and nudged a box of crayons and a black outline of a plum at her. "Today you will color this, and it will help you get ready for eating tomorrow." Tanika started to feel foolish. She'd never guessed that learning to pick fruit would be so complicated. She colored the plum with all the colors in the box, trying in vain to make it round and enticing like the fruits of the orchard. The rest of the day passed in a daze. Tanika was made to color more pictures, and to her disgust, most of the children ate the formless mush on the plates in front of them. Some of the fat and greasy children asked for more and stuffed themselves. Whenever this happened, the adults ran in and put gold stars all over the kids' arms and face. Many things happened. Children fought, napped, sat quietly, fidgeting with stuff. Finally, the jolly man took Tanika's hand and led her out of the dark building. As her bare feet met the orchard grass, she caught the scent of ripe labana. She asked the stranger if he would get one for her, but he merely laughed. Tanika was far too confused to put any of her questions into words. By the time they arrived at the tree where Tanika slept with her parents, the evening light had turned the leaves to bronze and she was exhausted, too tired to look for fruit. She fell asleep and dreamed fitfully. In the morning, her mind was clear. She still wanted to reach the high fruit, but she did not want to go back to the noisy, smelly, dark cafeteria. She could already reach the bush fruit. Maybe in time she'd grasp the high fruit too. But when the spectacled person arrived, he told her that she'd never reach the trees without many years in the cafeteria. He explained it. You can't reach them now, can you? And your parents can reach them. That's because they went to the cafeteria. I can reach them because I went to the cafeteria. Tanika had no time to think this through because he pulled her to her feet again and they were off. She hadn't had time to find breakfast and her stomach rumbled painfully. Tanika went in the room and sat down politely. Please, she asked one of the adults, can you help me pick tree fruits today? That's why I'm here. And also today I didn't have time for breakfast. The tall lady laughed. Well, aren't we cute? Tree fruit? Before you're ready for tree fruit, you have to prepare. She disappeared behind a curtain and returned, carrying a tray with a scoop of greenish stuff. Tanika jerked back. She looked around wildly for an escape route. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a boy watching with soft, dark, quiet eyes. The lady grabbed her hand. Don't be afraid, Tanika, she laughed. How will you ever work up to eating tree fruit if you can't handle plate fruit? She put the tray on the table and took the metal thing, spooning up a piece of the stuff and holding it in front of the small girl. Tanika pushed the spoon away violently. Then she put her head down on the table and cried. The lady's voice changed. So you're going to be a tough one, Tanika. Just remember, you're only hurting yourself when you refuse to eat. If you want to succeed, you'd better do as we ask. She walked away. When Tanika stopped crying, her stomach was desperately empty. She sat up and looked at the tray. She was afraid of the stuff. She bent down to smell it and caught a faint, stale whiff of limber-green berry. The smell, even distorted, was a familiar friend. She picked up the spoon and ate her first bite of cafeteria food. Tanika was relieved. Although the goop was slimy, far too sweet, and mostly tasteless, it wasn't as bad as it looked, and it seemed to be made from limber green berries. She ate it all and felt a little better. The lady came back. Very good, she smiled. She stuck a green star on the back of Tanika's hand. We'll do some more exercises, and then later on you can try something new to eat. Hours later, Tanika had been the apple and Velcro the stem on the apple and had drawn a guava tree and listened to an older student explain what fruits contain vitamins P, Q, and Z. Apparently she had done all these things right because the lady came back and put more green and gold stars on her hands and cheeks. Some of the children looked at her angrily though, so perhaps she'd done something wrong. At this point, a man rang a little bell. Immediately, all the children sat down at the tables and folded their hands neatly. A girl grabbed Tanika's hand and shoved her onto a chair. Then 6 children walked into the room carrying stacks of trays. They put one in front of each child, and Tanika saw that each tray contained 5 purple and blue wafers. Yum, said the girl next to Tanika. Violet berry cakes. Tanika jumped. She'd seen her parents eat violet berries and also had seen the accompanying ecstasy on their faces. She easily pictured the graceful coniferous trees on which they grew. She picked up a wafer. It was warm, but not with the gentle warmth of the sun. She put it in her mouth. dry, sandy. She chewed obediently, but sadly. This was it. Disappointment sank her stomach, and she put the cake down, mentally crossing violet berries off her wish list forever. In the end, Tanika was made to eat the violet berry cake, all 5 hunks of it, before the spectacled man would lead her out the door. Her stomach throbbed all the way home. That night she crawled into her mother's arms and sobbed. Her mother rocked her and then whispered something to Tanika's father. He disappeared and returned a minute later with an armload of tiny glowing violet berries. "It's time," said her mother sweetly, "for your first fresh violet berries." Her father dangled them teasingly above her lips, but Tanika only cried harder. The berry's fragrance, though delicate and sweet, clashed with her distended, heavy stomach. She was far too full, and it was Violet Berry's fault. Both parents teased and offered, but they finally gave up. Her mother laid Tanika down to rest alone, and the 2 adults stood whispering while the moon rose, worry in their voices. At the cafeteria the next day, the adults met Tanika with an unpleasant stare. "You're making things difficult for yourself," scolded the woman with slick hands. "Your parents have reported that your attitude at home is not meeting standards for girls your age. You need to eat much more thoroughly." A girl brought a plate crowded with dried out, wrinkly little fruits. Tanika ate them, tough and tasteless. Her stomach hurt again. After they dissected a preserved bush apple, she ate another tray full of canned goldberry. Then she went back home and slept. Days passed, and months. Tanika ate obediently and earned lots of stars. There was a picture of a bright green tree painted on one of the walls, and when the whole room of children ate their food quickly, the adults had them play a game. They taped 3 or 4 cut-out paper fruits to the tree, and then the kids were made to take turns jumping or reaching to try to take them. Whoever reached a fruit got to keep it, and also was called a winner and plastered with dozens of gold stars. One day, when the spectacled man walked her home, he told her the cafeteria would be closed for 2 days for cleaning. He handed her a little white carton and said, "Be sure to eat all of this while I'm gone, and I'll pick you up in 2 days." As he waddled away, a strange inspiration seized Tanika's brain. She touched her swollen belly and flung the carton away. Out of it tumbled cakes, red mush, hard little biscuits smelling flatly of labanas. When she woke the next morning, her stomach rumbled and she got up to look for breakfast. Leaving the clearing, she accidentally kicked a biscuit. Out of habit, she picked it up and almost put it in her mouth, then caught herself and aimed instead for a full bush of goldberries. Furtively, she snatched a handful and crushed them to her lips. Sweet and wild, they made her want to sing. Tanika's father saw her then and called excitedly to her mother. Both of them ran to their child and squeezed her. "Look what you've learned at the cafeteria!" cried her mother. "My baby is growing up!" "Be sure to eat all your home food," said father, "so you won't be behind when you go back." Then the tone of his voice changed. "What's that?" he said. He sprinted off and grabbed up the white carton. Tanika watched in horror as he searched the orchard floor. A few minutes later, he returned with everything: biscuits, cake, mush. Tanika ate it all. The cafeteria opened again, and Tanika went back. Every day she ate faster, and gradually stopped resisting, even in her own mind. One day, she reached the highest paper on the painted tree. All the adults patted her head, and she could barely see her brown skin under all the gold stars. She started walking to the cafeteria every day by herself. The adults started giving her food for the evenings, and usually she'd eat it like they said. One day, walking home, she flung her hands to the sky, and they touched, accidentally, a guava hanging down from its branch. Tanika jumped back. "I can pick it," she said slowly. It worked. She thought for a minute. The cooks had said it would happen someday if she ate what they gave her and jumped as high as she could during the tree game. Tanika gracefully severed the mavo from its stem, examined it, and tossed it neatly into a shadow. She wasn't hungry. Get yourself out of there. Get yourself out of that cult, whatever is going on in your life. We can always save ourselves. We can always be saved. We can always change. But the longer and harder and deeper your soul is squashed, the more despondent your spirit becomes, the more challenging it will be to get where you know you want to be. So don't worry about what anybody else says, even if they seem like, they're the people in your life in positions where you should be following that authority. Because you are the authority of your life. And in this Gemini energy, it can be challenging to step fully into that. But when you do, the community will form around you. And people will be so grateful that you became that example for them. I know because I've seen it happen time and time again with people. Not always Geminis, but very similar energy. Okay, so you know what you need, you know what you want, you can learn from people, you will learn from people, you want to learn from people, you should learn from people, but love yourself first, care for yourself first, put on your own oxygen mask first, and above all, always trust your intuition, your connection with the Most High, your desires, your needs, the messages that are coming from you, from your intuition, from inside of you. Learn to trust those things, develop self-trust, and then you can go around and have these equanimous relationships with whoever is willing and able to do that. But if you don't take care of yourself first, you won't be capable of discerning who is willing and able to meet you there on, even ground, on fair terms. This is cute. Oh! Okay. I know it's already over an hour right now. Oh my gosh. Everybody else is going to be jealous. Or you're going to be annoyed. I don't know. Gemini's like to talk, right? So I'm going to actually read a little bit about this for a second. Finding Grace, starflower. Some call this plant by her more common name, borage. But she prefers starflower. And wouldn't you? Her blue star-shaped petals shine among the garden's more usual yellows and pinks, shimmering yet understated like an old-time movie starlet. Starflower shares a timeless philosophy with these legends of the silver screen. Grace isn't something you keep for yourself, she tells us. Grace, Starflower knows. is a gift you give over and over again to the world around you. If you're thoughtful, caring, and true, grace develops a patina over time, becoming wisdom, cradling those lucky enough to be in your presence. How can you let a little more grace into your life? Well, there are generally some rituals and exercises in those entries, and so I will put those up on my community tab if you'd like to read through them for yourself. But yeah, I think that we're going to close it there. Thank you for being with me here today. I hope that those messages gave you something useful, or resonant, or if not, that it just helped you to develop your intuition on a deeper level. And I am excited to see you for the next one. I hope you have a beautiful week. Make sure to keep in mind that you are your leader and you have everything you need. And it's time to trust yourself so you can become a better leader and a better example. 10606 on the clock. All right, thanks. Love y'all. Have a good one.